Hello everyone and welcome to a new video of Firepower Threat Defense series. So in this video, we are going to look at access control policies on FMC for the FTDs which were managed by this specific FMC. Let's jump on to the FMC. So in order to manage the policies, you have to go to this policy section here and then you see the option for all the policies which are available. Okay. We are going to look at access control. So let's just, when we click on access control, we reach to the access control policy section. Let's see how to create a new access control policy. Okay. You select new policy, name the policy. Let's say access control policy. Put a description. You can also select a base policy from where it can inherit the basic settings. So I'll select none because if this would be the first policy, then you would not have any base policy. Okay, but I have one because it was created when I onboarded the device itself. So I'll choose at none. Default action. What happens if all the rules in the policies could not match the traffic? Do you want to block the traffic? Do you want to apply the intrusion prevention or do you want to perform the network discovery? You can select that action here. We are going to keep block all traffic. Okay, we'll look at other options, but later on. Then after that, you select to what device you want to apply the policy. I have routed FTD. If I select the device and click on add policy, the policy will be applied to that device. And after that, I just need to click save and that's it. A new policy is created and you are ready to write rules within it. Let's cancel this because we already have one created, which is named as routed FTD access control policy. This policy is applied to this specific device and control access for the LAN to internet and internet to LAN towards these devices. Now, you see right now it says out of date on one target device. We'll tackle that later on. But once you have created the policy, what you can do with the policy is first option is this one. You can copy the policy or you can create so that you can create another policy. You see, just copy the access policy and create a clone of it. Now, this option is generate the report on the policy. If you click on it, then FMC generates a report on this policy. I have clicked on the option. It's processing the stuff. Yeah. And yeah, just give it a second. My McAfee is scanning it. Come on. Yeah. This is the kind of report you will get about the policy. You, you will get things about policy. You will be getting the information about policy information, what devices it targets, any information about HTTP interactive blocks, and then there are certain parts of our policy which will all be displayed in here. So if I go down, I'm looking for something which I really wanted to show you in there. See, default action, mandatory rules. There are no mandatory rules in the access control policy and no default rules. This is the section I wanted to talk about, and a few more settings about the policy. You can go through them. Okay. Yeah, basically all information about a policy. Just close it, and close it. So in order to add the rules to this policy, you need to select this edit option, and the last option was the delete one, which you can use to delete the policy. Okay. Now, when you edit a policy, you come to this page. Okay. So if you want to change the name of the policy, just go here, click, and you can change the name. And if you want to enter the description for a policy, just click below the name and you can change the. Let's say a routed ROU, sorry, ROUT, routed access control policy. Okay. That's what how you can change the name and the description, and then you can save the changes. So there are basically two layouts available for this policy GUI right now over the FMC. One is a legacy layout, other is a new layout. So I am right now looking in the legacy layout. You can change the layout by toggling off this button. So I just switch to new layout. In new layout, you get this kind of view. So you see pre-filter rules here, SSL here, a section for SSL rules. If you want to do, click on this option for security intelligence this, identity this, access control. This also shows in what order policies are applied. So that's the good thing about it. First, pre-filter rules and SSL, security intelligence, identity, and then access control. Okay. Now let's go back to legacy UI. Okay, so we are back to legacy UI layout, and I'm happy with this layout. It's all about preferences, you know. There are multiple options. See, it's the similar kind of UI, but you have a separate. You don't see that in the same way. It's just a change of view, but you still have same things to see. Okay, pre-filter policy here, SSL here, identity here, security intelligence here, and change of layout here, analyze it counts option is available here. We will see all this stuff, and policy assignments are, you know, here. If you click on it, you can see what device it is assigned to, or if you want to assign it to any more devices, just select the devices from here and add to policy. Okay, now and the default action is shown here, you know, access control block all, access control trust all, access control network discovery, kind of like that. Okay, now let's look at how to add a rule. Or you see, there are two categories by default in the policy. One is a mandatory category, one is a default category. If you want to add any other category, you can just hit this add category. Let's add a new category. Okay, I would say org standard. Okay, or I would say standard rules. And under which category you want to enter it to, under which section, basically mandatory or default. I'll say mandatory. See, so you have added a category under the specific section. Now, in order to add a rule, you can either start from here or either you can click on here, you know, add rule option in there. Okay. Now, we usually start here. So I usually start from there. Okay. So I can select insert into category, into mandatory, into default, or I will say into a category. Install, you know, put the rule under standard rules category. Action, we have multiple actions is there, but let's put the allow rule. Okay, that allows DNS and ICMP from this Linux machine out to Google DNS and the Cloudflare DNS over the internet. Okay, so let's say allow DNS and ICMP. I put a rule name. Okay, action is allow, I'm allowing it. Trust is another action. We will talk about that later on. And then monitor, then block with reset, interactive block, and interactive block with reset. We will look at all those options, but first let's go with allow option. Allow. Do you want any time range to be, you know, applied here? You can click this add option in order to create a new time range on the go. Now, my use what zone to what zone. So my users are on inside zone, they will be going out to outside zone. Okay, inside to outside. And in terms of IP addresses and geolocations, I would say my users are my users are at this network, which is a source, and then they will be going to any IPv4 on the destination. Okay, you see that? That's how. Original client. Okay, that is something we will talk about it later and see how does that will work. Okay. Now, suppose you don't want to create objects, okay? Then you can enter the IP addresses here like this 8.8.8 and just hit it. Okay, that's how you can also edit. But I am not going to allow to everywhere. I'm just going to allow to 1.1.1 and 8.8.8. Okay, DNS and ICMP allowed to these two. Now, after that, we can also put geolocation in terms of destination or source, but I'm gonna do on the basis of networks. Then you have an option of VLAN tags. If you have created any VLAN tags, you can put those VLAN tags in there. We're not going to look at user section right now. Yeah, let's talk about application. So FTD is again an application aware firewall. Okay. So if this would have been a traditional layer 3, layer 4 firewall, you will be opening ICMP service and for the DNS, you will be opening UDP 53 ports. Okay. But here, let's talk layer 7. Okay. In terms of layer 7, I want to allow DNS and I want to allow ICMP, which is I want to allow ICMP, which is related to IPv4. Okay, this is V4 ICMP. Okay. So what will happen whenever the DNS or ICMP packets will come to the firewall? Firewall will look at the packet at layer 7 and will try to determine the application. If it does not match the DNS, then it will not let us pass through. Okay, and DNS might be running on any port in this case, but the content at layer 7 should be DNS. Okay, that's what is the capability of application aware firewall. Now, in terms of ports, do we want to put any ports? No, I don't need any ports because I'm doing filtering on the basis of applications. URLs, we will talk about it later. Dynamic attributes, no dynamic attributes. You can select security group tabs and dynamic objects here if you have any. We'll talk about them later. In terms of inspection, do you want to also process any intrusion policy or and what is the variable set? We'll talk about them later on. Any file policy, logging, this is another good thing. So for allowed rules, it's always recommended you log the connection when it ends. The reason for that is if you log a connection at the end, you have all the details of the entire connection. Okay, if you log it at the beginning, you just know when it started, and if you log it both, then you will have duplicate logs. Okay, so you can send the connection events to FMC. You can send to a specific syslog server. Okay. Using default syslog configuration in access control logging section. We'll check that later on. Or if you want to send a SNMP trap where there is you have configured the SNMP alert object and then you can call it in here. Then whenever the traffic matches here at the end of the connection, there will be SNMP trap sent. Okay. Let's add some comments. Okay. I will say allowed DNS and ICMP towards 8.8.8 and 1.1.1, sorry, dot 1 from LAN subnet 10.0.0.0/24. And let's hit OK. See the comment we have add. Now, if you click on add, the rule will be added. Okay, the rule is now added and then save the policy. Once you have saved the changes to your policy, this policy is still is on FMC. Firewall still does not have it. In order to push the policy from FMC to FTD, you have to deploy it. Go to deploy and then deployment. Now this deployment is going to take some time. I'm going to pause the video while this deployment happens and then I'll show you. Okay, guys, so you can see now on the routed FTD, the deployment is complete. So now my FTD has all the settings, whichever we made in this access control policy. Now let's jump onto our Linux machine, which is behind this FTD and do some ping pong to see if that is working. First, I would like to ping just to single ping. So www.google.com. If this resolves, that means DNS is working. If this pings, that means ICMP is working. So let's hit enter and see. Okay. Okay. I got it. Why it is not working? Let me quickly go back. And I think we are missing a NAT policy. And that's the reason our device, there is a NAT policy. Let me quickly check if this NAT policy is properly applied or not. Inside to outside, ranging to internet. Okay. Enable translation. Allow me 2 minutes to come back to you while I check why it's not working, and then I will resume. So guys, we already know why it is not working because we allowed the ping toward 1.1.1 and 8.8.8. I just forgot about that. So let's do a ping to 1.1.1. See, it works. Now let's go and check the logs. Okay. So under analysis, connections and events, we see the two logs where our ICMP was allowed and also the DNS was allowed. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we are going to see a lot more about the access control policy. Thank you for your time. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.